Hello, I'm Dr. Brendan Mulvaney, the Director of the China Aerospace Studies Institute, and welcome back to the Competition with China series. This video will discuss the People's Liberation Army Navy, or the Plan, including its mission, organization, equipment, personnel, and facilities. First, it's important to note that in English, the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, refers to the whole military force. Before 2015, there was no separate Army service, and everything fell under the umbrella of the PLA, including the Navy and the Air Force. That all changed in 2016 when Xi Jinping created a ground forces headquarters and made the Army a co-equal branch of the other services. Second, discussion of any portion of the PLA should note that it is not the Army of China. It is not there to protect the People's Republic of China. It is the armed wing of the Chinese Communist Party. For more discussion of this important distinction, please see our Laying the Foundation videos from earlier in this series and the Party Army video. The PLA Navy is numerically the largest Navy in the world, with an overall force of approximately 350 ships and submarines, including more than 130 major surface combatants. Some experts argue it's misleading to compare that directly to the U.S. Navy's fleet of about 300 ships, mainly because the PLA Navy fleet has a higher proportion of smaller ships with less combat and force projection capabilities. However, the PLA Navy is rapidly modernizing its fleet, often replacing older ships with larger, multi-role ones that are better equipped to carry out its missions with which it is tasked. As with the overall PLA, the PLA Navy's top priority mission is to support any possible Taiwan-related scenario. This covers a spectrum of activities, from simply deterring Taiwanese moves toward independence to large-scale operations to forcibly invade and unify Taiwan with the mainland. In invasion and occupation contingency, the plan is tasked with information assault, which includes strikes against information processing nodes, firepower strike against other targets of interest, blockade, island landing, and countering intervention by a powerful enemy, presumably the United States. Although Taiwan is the priority, building capabilities to counter U.S. intervention may also improve the plan's ability to deter or defeat other U.S. action in the region, for example, intervention in the South China Sea's territorial disputes. The PLA Navy is also tasked with coastal defense, which is emphasized in light of several sea-based invasions of China in the last 2 centuries. Now, while invasion is currently not a significant threat, and this mission does not receive as much public focus as some of the others, it is understandably a core competency of any naval force. Another key role for the PLA Navy is protecting China's maritime sovereignty. China has ongoing maritime boundary disputes in the East China Sea and the South China Sea with several countries, including Japan, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia. Although China considers maritime sovereignty an issue of domestic law enforcement for which the Chinese Coast Guard is responsible, it will often deploy PLA Navy combatants nearby if it perceives a high risk of escalation. China also relies on the People's Armed Forces Maritime Militia, which is a paramilitary force of fishing vessels, for some sovereignty enforcement. In wartime, maritime sovereignty missions would include planned operations in the East and South China Seas to assert these maritime claims. The PLA Navy is charged with protecting China's vital sea lines of communication, or SLOCs. This includes defending commerce access into and out of China, with examples such as the Straits of Malacca. Especially in peacetime, this may also cover more distant operations, such as counter-piracy missions in the Gulf of Aden. China increasingly sees a need for the PLA Navy to help protect its economic investments and political interests overseas. The PLA Navy established the PLA's first official overseas base, the PLA Support Base in Djibouti, in 2017. And while the Navy has not yet supported any UN peacekeeping operations, it does have one Marine Corps element that is qualified to do so. Now, we'll get into the Navy's Marine Corps a bit later, but there seems to be an effort to make it a more expeditionary force, making it a major component to the PLAN's overseas protection mission. The Navy is also charged with a nuclear deterrence and counterattack mission. It has officially maintained a submarine-launched ballistic missile, or SLBM, capability since the 1980s, although there were likely significant limits to the capabilities of both the submarines and the JL-1 SLBMs at the time. Not until 2015 did the U.S. Department of Defense publicly recognize that the PLA Navy likely conducted an operational deterrence patrol, that is to say, a patrol where a nuclear submarine is armed with nuclear-tipped SLBMs. We'll touch more on the plan's equipment later, but it now has at least 6 nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines in the water, each capable of carrying up to 12 JL-2s, or possibly even the new JL-3 SLBMs. Finally, recent PLA strategic guidance has highlighted the importance of operations to seize control of important maritime areas and passages during wartime, to shape the battlefield, or to create favorable conditions for other strategic actions. These operations are said to be joint, but with naval forces, i.e. the PLA Navy, as the core and other forces acting in coordination. The PLA gives offensive examples, such as attacking enemy naval formations, sea sabotage raid, and offensive mine laying, as well as defensive examples, such as naval formation defense, naval escort, and minesweeping. The PLA Navy's organizational structure begins at planned headquarters and runs down through theater command navies to coastal defense bases, carrier task groups, flotillas, which for the PLA are a permanent operational organization, and on to individual ships. The top echelon of the PLA Navy is the PLA Navy Headquarters, which supports the CCP Central Military Commission, or CMC, with national level command and control over the Navy. Although it mainly fulfills administrative and force building functions for the overall plan, with operational control of forces given to the subordinate theater command navies, there is an indication that it maintains some level of control over operations in distant seas. Perhaps the most important PLA organizational features are the 5 geographically oriented theater commands, or TCs. Each TC exercises operational control over PLA units within its area of responsibility. 3 of these 5 TCs contain naval forces, which are operationally controlled by respective theater command navies. The Eastern Theater Command Navy is headquartered in Ningbo and is responsible for the majority of the East China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. The Southern Theater Command Navy is headquartered in Zhanjiang and is responsible for the South China Sea. And the Northern Theater Command Navy is headquartered in Qingdao and is responsible for the Bohai Gulf, Yellow Sea, and the northern portion of the East China Sea. Each Theater Command Navy also has an Aviation Headquarters that is headed by a deputy commander for that TCN and contains subordinate aviation divisions, brigades, and regiments of mostly land-based naval aviation forces. The core level units subordinate to each Theater Command Navy can be considered in terms of 2 distinct functions, defensive and offensive. On the defensive side, each Theater Command Navy exercises administrative and operational control over 2 to 3 coastal defense bases, which are responsible for force preservation using equipment such as corvettes, coastal defense cruise missiles, and mine warfare assets. Carrier task groups and some large ad hoc surface formations employ higher-end units and make up the offensive element, which would be responsible for striking at more distant adversaries. The PLA Navy has recently given considerable attention to the development and employment of carrier task groups. Also notable at this level are the plan's 2 submarine bases under the Northern Theater Command Navy, one under the Southern Theater Command Navy, which operates the nuclear-powered attack SSNs and nuclear-powered ballistic missile SSBN submarines. All PLA Navy destroyers, landing ships, conventional submarines, and support vessels fall under division-level flotillas. These are mostly administered as the Theater Command Navy assigns individual vessels to ad hoc formations as necessary, but the flotilla command staff is able to transition into a service as a task group command element. Individual PLA Navy ships usually consist of 9 departments. Engagement authorities are tightly controlled within the ship's Combat Information Center, or CIC, and it is said to be that only the vessel's commanding officer has launch authorities. Now, of course, they can't be in the CIC 24/7, but it is yet unclear as to whether these authorities are passed to the officer in charge or how it's done. Some other important features of the PLA Navy include the Marine Corps, the Hulu Testing and Training Base, and the Djibouti Support Base. The planned Marine Corps is a subordinate part of the plan and includes 6 standardized amphibious brigades, a special operations brigade, and it is developing a rotary wing aviation brigade. It serves mainly as an expeditionary mission, as well as South China Sea seizure mission. Of note, the planned Marine Corps is not equipped for or expected to play a major role in a Taiwan scenario, which is a mission set for which the PLA Army's amphibious brigades are better equipped and prepared. The Hulu Testing and Training Base is a field research and development facility which tests systems such as ship-mounted railguns, directed energy platforms, and possibly naval-based ballistic missiles. Although technically a joint base, the Djibouti Support Base is operated and staffed almost exclusively by the PLA Navy. As a support base, it does not have any operational authority over any forces in the region aside from the PLA Marine Corps Battalion for base defense and a limited expeditionary capability. For example, the Counter-Piracy Task Force operating in the Gulf of Aden does not report to the Djibouti support base. As mentioned earlier, the PLA Navy is rapidly modernizing its fleet with more capable and often multi-role vessels. These vessels are increasingly designed and produced indigenously, reducing reliance on external partners like Russia and building a defense industrial base for further development. The PLA Navy is committed to developing its fleet of aircraft carriers, with 2 currently commissioned and a number more under construction. The 2 currently in operating are Soviet-class carriers, one purchased and the other domestically produced variant, which utilize a ski jump configuration for aircraft takeoff. This configuration restricts aircraft takeoff weight, which places limits on ordnance loads and keeps it from operating with a larger specialized support aircraft, such as airborne early warning aircraft. A 3rd carrier is undergoing sea trials and expected to be operational by 2023. This will have a larger aircraft carrier and will be fitted with a catapult launch system, which will presumably not have the same limitations as the ski jump configuration. The current carriers operate with the J-15 fighters, which are cruise missile capable for anti-surface warfare and possibly land attack, and have a retractable in-flight refueling probe. Some notable PLA Navy large surface combatants are the new Renhai guided missile cruiser and the Luoyang 3 guided missile destroyer. The Renhai boasts 112 vertical launch cells for mixed munitions, including advanced anti-ship cruise missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and anti-submarine weapons, along with likely land attack cruise missiles and anti-ship ballistic missiles as those become operational. The Luoyang 3 has 64 of these same missile cells, and both are being produced at a stunning pace. By 2021, China had launched 8 Renhai and at least 24 Luoyang 3 hulls, with over half already commissioned into the PLA Navy. This is in addition to over 30 Zhangkai 2 guided missile frigates and 72 Jiangdao corvettes, augmenting the PLA's littoral warfare capabilities. Many of these newer ships use modern combat management systems and air surveillance sensors, such as Sea Eagle and Dragon Eye phased array radars, which allow the PLA Navy surface vessels to operate outside shore-based air defense systems, with 1 or 2 ships providing air defense for the entire task group. The PLA's new Fuyu fast attack support ships and Fuchi replenishment oilers support carrier battle groups and surface action group missions as they reach farther into the Western Pacific and Indian Oceans. These ships are constantly rotating in support of counter-piracy deployments in the Gulf of Aden and often accompany surface groups operating beyond the first island chain. The PLA Navy also has signaled its intent to continue developing expeditionary warfare capabilities by modernizing its fleet of amphibious ships. The new Yushan-class Landing Helicopter Assault, or LHA, is reportedly able to carry up to 900 troops, heavy equipment, landing craft, and up to 30 helicopters. When all 3 completed Yushan are commissioned into the PLA Navy, China will be second only to the United States in global amphibious capabilities. The PLA Navy's amphibious fleet also features 8 large Yujao amphibious transport docks, each capable of transporting a battalion of Marines, 15 to 20 armored vehicles, and 4 helicopters. The Yujao have already proven useful for supporting missions like anti-piracy and humanitarian assistance disaster relief. But their utility in a potential invasion of Taiwan scenario must also be considered. Both the Yushan and the Yujao carrier can carry several of the Navy's UE landing craft, which can in turn transport a platoon of Marines or armored vehicles. The PLA Navy also operates over 30 U-Ting tank landing ships, which would play a central role in any Taiwan invasion scenario. The PLA Navy emphasizes the asymmetric advantages provided by submarines and operates a variety of both conventional and nuclear-powered classes. Its conventional attack submarines are very quiet and most are capable of launching air-surface cruise missiles. The Yuan class is also capable of air-independent propulsion, which allows it to stay submerged longer without surfacing. The Xiang nuclear-powered attack submarine is louder than its conventional counterparts, but it has a higher underwater speed. By the mid-2020s, China will likely build a guided missile variant of the Xiang, which would enhance its anti-surface warfare capability and possibly provide a clandestine land attack option. Ballistic missile submarines are a key element of China's nuclear deterrent. The Jin-class nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine can carry up to 12 JL-2 SLBMs, which provided the plan its first viable sea-based nuclear deterrent. With at least 6 Jin hulls now in the water, the PLA Navy should be capable of maintaining a continuous at-sea nuclear deterrent with JL-2 SLBMs, even as it begins to field the new JL-3 SLBM, which is reportedly capable of striking CONUS from safe operating areas in the South China Sea, which is where all Jin-class submarines are currently based. As PLA Navy combatants reach farther from shore and are more capable of their own air defense, PLA Naval Aviation is concentrated on new aerial missions such as maritime strike, maritime patrol, anti-submarine warfare, airborne early warning, and logistics. In addition to the carrier-based J-15 fighters mentioned earlier, the PLA Navy operates a land-based fourth-generation fighters such as the J-10AH, J-11BH, which are capable of extended patrols beyond China's coastal areas. For maritime strike, the PLA Navy continues to upgrade an aging fleet of H-6 Badger bombers, augmented by JH-7 fighter bombers. Upgraded versions of the H-6 and the JH-7 can carry 6 and 4 ASCMs respectively, with the JH-7 capable to sacrifice 2 of those ASCMs for underwing fuel tanks to increase its range. In addition to combat aircraft, the PLA Navy is expanding its inventory of fixed-wing maritime patrol aircraft, airborne early warning aircraft, and surveillance aircraft. These are often specialized variants of the Y-8 and Y-9. For example, the PLA Navy developed a separate Y-9 variant for ASW and for communications jamming and electronic countermeasures. China's most advanced airborne early warning and control aircraft is the KJ-500. The PLA Navy operates 3 main helicopter models, the Z-9, Z-8 and 18, and the Helix. The naval variant of the Z-9, the Z-9C, can operate with any helicopter-operable planned combatant. And while the Z-8 has a larger carrier space, but more limited operation with the PLA Navy vessels. The Z-18 size gives it similar constraints to the Z-8, and it operates mainly with PLA carriers in several variants. Most notable is the Z-18J AEW variant, which fills a critical gap on the ski jump carriers that cannot support heavier fixed-wing AEW. The Russian-imported Helix helicopters also operate in several variants, mainly for ASW, search and rescue, and logistics support. As part of the PLA's overall push for what it calls intelligentization, the PLA Navy is beginning to test and operate unmanned underwater vehicles. It's unclear as to what extent these are in the realm of research and development versus operational reality, but the PLA has presented examples to the public at several military events. There are several theorized use cases for unmanned underwater vehicles, and breakthroughs in any one of them could mean radical changes to traditional undersea and possibly surface warfare. Although the PLA Navy does not provide exact figures, available information indicates it likely has exceeded 300,000 active duty members, augmented by an unknown number of reserves. Its leadership is somewhat more diverse in background than the other services, while senior leadership positions are generally held only by officers from a particular specialty. The PLA Navy senior leadership is still represented mainly by surface warfare officers, but there are also some who are pilots or submarine officers, for example. Navy officer recruits receive basic naval education and training at one of 6 academic institutions, depending on their career track. For example, a prospective surface warfare officer may attend the Dalian Naval Ship Academy, whereas a prospective pilot may attend the Naval Aviation University. PLA Navy Professional Military Education, or PME, occurs at the battalion, regiment, division, and theoretically corps levels. Most personnel complete tactical education below the division level and then move on to PME at their specialty relevant academic institutions, finally attending a command college at the 06 level or above. Starting around 2017, Navy PME began to focus more on science, technology, engineering, and math, as opposed to the previous system of majoring only in warfare discipline to which an officer was assigned. Briefly, looking at the facilities that the PLA Navy operates in support of its forces, we see bases with major fleet concentrations in Qingdao for the northern, Zhoushan for the eastern, and at both Zhanjiang and Sanya for the Southern Theater Command navies. As mentioned earlier, the PLA operates 2 nuclear submarine bases, one each under the Northern and Southern Theater Command navies. These bases employ submarine tunnels for concealment and survivability. Some, but not all bases, with conventional submarines also have small tunnels that can contain unknown numbers of submarines. In addition, major bases, the PLA operates many minor facilities along the PRC's coast for coastal defense. The PRC's facilities in the Spratly and Paracel Islands are also occupied by the Navy, including port and airbase facilities that could be used to support operations in the South China Sea. And finally, the PLA Navy also operates some small shipyards for building and repairing vessels, although most of the more involved work is done by state-owned enterprises. We hope and encourage you to take a look at the other videos in this series. that address the other parts of the PLA. Just as we're approaching warfighting with an eye towards joint operations, so is the PLA. We hope through this introduction of the PLA Navy, viewers have a better understanding of this force and the potential challenges that it poses to the United States and our allies and partners as it continues in its modernization in the coming years and becomes better equipped to support Communist Party objectives both domestically and increasingly abroad. The ability of the U.S. and its allies to succeed in strategic competition with China will require innovative approaches to address threats in a broad variety of domains, especially the naval military domain. As always, we hope this discussion series helps keep the U.S. and our allies and partners ahead of that competition now and in the future. Thank you.